Hello, it is Thursday. It is Friday, the 9th of August, 2013, and you are tuned into The Remembering. My name's Matthew, and I'm here with my co-host, Chase.
Hello, everybody.
And we should be joined by another wonderful co-host, Darius Wright, when he settles out some technical difficulties. I'd like to say hello to all of our guests in the chat room. If any of you feel guided to call in, then the number is 646-716-4598. So just call in anytime, raise your hand, and we will put you on air. So Chase, how's your week been going? How are you feeling tonight?
It is great. I'm here in South Carolina working on a book with Andrew Weber, and it is hot. I was sweating today, so it's nice to be inside doing this show.
Yeah, it was a little chilly and foggy here today on the east coast of Canada. I'm just outside of Halifax, so it was a little chilly today. But I'm also trying to get started writing a book or getting together a piece of writing, a piece of work. I'm still kind of trucking along there, but that's really cool. What topic are you guys writing on? Just briefly, don't give it all away, but.
Okay, it's all about distilled waters, so just pure H2O, and it includes machine-made distilled waters, rainwater, all precipitation, fruit juices, other vegetable juices, and even urine as these pure waters that can heal the body and basically get all the toxins out of your body so you can become this fantastic light being and your aura would be shining.
Yeah, I love that. You guys will probably get in to speak a little bit about alchemy, I'm sure, or just about kind of the natural alchemical processes that we do without really knowing it, or some of us not really being consciously aware. Okay, so today, I think we should start out by speaking about capital G-O-D, God. I'd like to bring the conversation as well. Everyone in the chat room, anyone who'd like to call in is more than welcome. I'd like to speak about God and what the religious, in a religious sense, the conception of the conceptualization of God, or what that means in religious terms, what that would mean in spiritual terms, and what's your understanding of that. So Chase, did you want to speak out? And when you think of God, or you speak to God, or someone asks you, if someone asked you if you believed in God, what would you say?
I kind of look at them and not know what to say, because it just sounds, from my understanding of God, it's all that is, and no matter what I believe, whether I believe in a concept of God or whether I believe or not, it's still there. Existence is still there, no matter what I think in my head or conceptualize.
Yeah, I think it's such a loaded term. I know when I say the word God, I'm just practicing saying God, because I sometimes feel
God.
It has such a stigma and such dogma attached to it that I think a lot of people, when you want to bring up the God conversation, it strikes fear. It strikes fear in people. That feeling of uncomfortableness of God, that comes up, and it's kind of just, let's shut the door on that conversation, or, I'm not that. I'm not those people who do that, because I think it's so painted. I know for me growing up, my first experience, or my first understanding of the word God, I was in the presence of my grandmother, and I said, oh my God, or something. I said, oh my God, and she was so upset with me. She was so upset with me. She sat me down. I remember she sat me down, and she said, "Good boys don't use the Lord's name in vain." That's what she said to me, and I remember being 7 years old and just being totally not turned off to the fact of God, but just thinking that, oh, that word is something that's not me, or that I could never really understand, or that I was in the fault, in the wrong of speaking to it, because I've shamed it already. You know what I mean there, Chase?
Oh my God. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it is one of those words that really, when you really explore it, you find find realizations about consciousness, and you see what it really means. But in the shallow terms in our culture, it's mostly used sarcastically, like, oh, thank God, or in a negative way, like, oh my God, this sucks, like, you'll never, like, or it has that shame attached to it as a child, being like, you're going to say, oh my gosh, or I'm going to put you in, put a hat on you and put you in the corner.
Yeah, because I know I really see the discomfort, especially even when I'm speaking to my friends. We could be speaking about something like, I was speaking to my friend Bria about mental awareness, about having a clear mind and coming back to center. And then that kind of led into me saying something about, I said the word God, and I was speaking inclusively, speaking to the unity consciousness that we all are. And saying the word God, my friend, was it was as if I said it out of context, like we weren't already speaking about this, about the space of love, about that presence that we share. And just saying the name of God, my friend was like, oh, well, I don't believe in, I don't think there's a God. That's so much religion has hurt so mmany people, so there must not be a God. Or, I don't believe in God because, of all the bad that's happened. And it's like we're speaking about God for probably 20 minutes, but without the label of God. We were speaking about the energy. We were holding that space and sharing that resonance and that presence, which was so beautiful. But when I tried to ground that experience with the word God, it really struck a chord that kind of threw everything else out the window. And I think it's such a, I guess we're just moving through bridging the gap between language and these definite these tools of language to speak to the unlabelable, the unpindownable, the abstract, the open. Do you ever have trouble when you're trying to use language and use words to speak to this essence, to this feeling of wholeness?
Sometimes I have a whole conversation with somebody and I think we're on the same page, but then I use the wrong word, or I get done and I figure out that they were on a whole different page, but using the words that I spoke as triggers to paint their own picture. So in a way we're like on this parallel journey together, and never really on the same page.
Well, yeah, it's kind of, well, it's like everyone's kind of, I feel, on the same page, and kind of like, well, we're all writing our own story, and even if we're not writing the story in the context, in our individual story, it doesn't look like we're in the context of this much bigger reality, this much grander, this much wider reality that we're speaking of. All of the stories are still, the thread. It's still all intertwined. Even if you think in that situation that you're not on the same page, deeper down, I think there's definitely some relatability, some resonance there.
Mm-hmm.
But Darius is here, so we're going to call him in, okay? We're going to get Darius in here and see if he wants to weigh in on this conversation. Let's see if we can get him in here. Darius.
Hey, how's everybody doing?
Hi, Darius. So
Hi.
you are live. We are on here. We were just speaking about God, and we were speaking about having the God conversation with others, and the difficulty when trying to bridge language and speak to this big thing that's kind of unnameable. Do you have any insight or anything to lend into this conversation?
So you guys are speaking about God, like if basically what it is. Is that what you're asking me?
Yep. Oh, sorry. It's a little loud in the background there, Darius, if you just wanted to shut the door.
Okay. Well, just give me a second. I'm sorry.
Yes. So we were speaking about what God means to us and how we've been communicating that meaning, that personal, felt, experiential knowledge of God, if we can call it that, and how we use language, and kind of sometimes the misalignment or the incongruity between how we try to deliver our experience, our knowing to others while using concepts. Do you ever kind of trip over words when you're trying to speak about something like God? Darius?
I think he's tripping over his words. Well, I just thought of something. You said how your grandmother, was it your grandmother when you were young?
Yes.
I noticed that the people that really don't want you to speak about God are the ones with a false, fearful image of the universe, or say it were a figurative person. Just play with me for a minute. Say it's this dude named God. And if you think that he's gonna give you a bad situation or a car accident, or you think he's gonna rob you, you don't want to talk about him then, because it's like talking about the person you hate or a person that you're afraid of. But if you see the universe as benevolent and the universe is always trying to benefit you and give you gifts and to show you how wonderful this place is and to show how wonderful you are, and to give you that mirror that you are the wonderful creator of all of it. If that is built into this reality, then of course you're going to want to talk about God. If that's your view of God, is this wonderful, amazing freedom and unconditional love, you're going to talk about it like you talk about sunshine and fruit and colors and like things that are enjoyable and happy.
Yeah, it really was the fear thing. It was and still to this day, when I want to share this deepened love that I feel with my grandmother or with anyone else, the fixed belief of fear and that there's something that needs to be protected, and there's something that's, at stake, or that someone, it's like everything is riding on this moment that you just use this word. Like there is this checklist, and if we don't be perfect and check every single boxes, then we're not worthy of being loved or being forgiven. And bridging that gap between that fearful understanding, that shameful understanding, and just try to hold that space and open the conversation is difficult, but I think it's important to speak about it, as you said, with those wonderful things. Exactly. If God is this, God is love, and all these things that these teachings have told us, then why wouldn't everyone speak about it that way?
Mm-hmm.
We do have a caller that I think has their hand raised. So how would you like to take that, Chase?
Take it now.
Okay. So I'm not sure where Darius went. We'll try to get him back here, but for now we're going to take...
Could you guys hear me?
Oh.
Hey,
there you
are. Sorry, you were talking about fearful, and I think what people have forgotten how to do is trust in life. Because I was talking to you earlier about this. People try to control life, like everything in their life. And just like the cells in your body, you don't control the cells in your body. Your cells in the body goes to your lungs to give you oxygen. You don't control how you breathe. You don't control how your heart beats. And this is where people are misunderstood. They try to control everything in their life. They need to trust life. Because when they start to trust life, that's where it literally starts to become like natural. It's the natural breathing and the natural heartbeat of your body. And when you start to trust life, then the universe sings with your tone.
So true.
That was beautiful, Darius. Yeah, I really like. Go ahead, Chase.
It just makes me think about the natural environment here. We've got trees who don't worry about anything. They know that the sun is coming up the next day. They know that water is going to fall, and they know that there's nutrients in the soil. They can just make fruit all day. And the animals, they know that there's going to be seeds and nuts and fruit to eat. The rabbits know that there's little weeds and grass and dandelions to munch on. Humans, what have we done? I mean,
I know.
There's abundance all around us. There's sunshine. If we just learn on a practical level, we can learn to get energy from the sun. We can learn to get energy from the prana in the air. We can learn the technology of our body in a way that is so suitable, and then trusting life is going to be a non-issue, because it's going to be so obvious that we're swimming in life.
Exactly, and people forgot how to trust life. They forgot how to trust the sun to give them energy, as plants do. I mean, you don't see plants stressing about when is the sun going to come up. They just trust life. And like, how stressed out would you be if you try to control your heartbeat? If you put one of the things that the hospitals put on your finger to control your heart rhythm, and your heartbeat was 32 beats per minute, and you try to control it to become 46 beats per minute, and your whole life you would be trying to control something other than just trust what your body has to do. That's the same thing with life. Trust the universe, trust life, and then you will live in that God state of being, because internally that's what I think God is. God is the universe. There's nothing around that isn't the truth. God is everything, and you don't see the consciousness, the essence of the universe trying to control humanity, because if the universe tried to control humanity, where would we be? You know, the universe allows us to be who we are because it trusts us, and we have to learn to trust the universe.
I like what
so
you guys.
Maybe the question isn't is there a God, or do you know what is God, but do you trust life? Do you trust yourself? Do you trust this experience?
I think trust is a huge topic, because when we speak about God and religion, and we speak about my grandmother and that fearfulness, that, you know, trust is you know, it's a sense of security. You know, it's a sense of not worrying about survival, you know, and allowing yourself to own your own will, you know, and those basic things like lower chakras, lower body intelligence. And I liked how you said how, you know, you look at a tree and the tree's not worried about, you know, if its roots are going to go deep enough into the ground. Like, it's just standing there sturdy as a tree doing what it's doing. And then you look at society, and we're in a more intense level of survival than the plants and animals, who are just allowing it all flow. And it's so simple when you just kind of use those pictures and take a lesson from the abundance and the natural life that's all around.
Yeah.
So I also would like to get into.
You know, I had a. You're speaking of that. I had a. You're talking about the survival of life. Yesterday, I met this one guy. Well, it was actually 2 days ago. I met this one guy, and out of nowhere, I first went into talking about, you know, video games, and then all of a sudden, something happened between us, and then we started talking about, like, David Wilcock and David Icke, and he was like, "How do you know about this? I thought I was the only one, you know." And he started talking about the way that life is. I forget the way he put it, but it was very well spoken. He said, we live in a day and age now where you have one person just to move. Say, for instance, if they're trying to move a piece of metal or a car across the street, this one guy has 10 people enslaving them just to move a piece of metal and make their life so much miserable, other than we could just move it with love. And he said, we're moving out of that irony stage, and we're becoming the love stage. Instead of moving this piece of metal across the street with hatred and everything else, we're going to do it with love instead. The way he said it was different, but the way he said it was really hit something in me.
Yeah, I think it's going to be amazing when we start working together on that neutral plane of respecting one another, and just really genuinely trying to create solutions, you know, create instead of all of these hidden agendas and the hierarchy of working and all of that. I think it's going to be so beautiful to just see how much less energy we're going to have to use, if that makes sense, you know?
Yeah, I understand what you're. Yeah, and I understand that, because, like, when everybody learns to trust each other, then it's going to be not a life of, you know, well, don't trust him across the street because, you know, we haven't talked to him or anything. It's going to be more of like the golden age of what everybody speaks about, and it's not. I'm not talking about the golden age or anything like that. That's going to happen. I'm talking about it now. What's happening now, and it's things that are already occurring now. I mean, this radio show. It's now. Everything is now. You know, and it's not going to be in the future. It's now, because everything is happening now. The radio shows that we do, people around the world are already coming together, trusting each other, making communities just like that where they trust everybody and live in peace with each other in harmony. And that's what we're moving into now.
That's so exciting. I'm getting chills just hearing you speak, Darius. We have a caller, guys. I think it's time to take that. How do you guys feel about that?
Perfect time.
Yeah.
All right. So, caller 301, you are live.
Hi, guys. How are you? Can you hear me?
Hello, and who are we speaking with?
Oh, this is Judy.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Hi, Judy.
Hi. How are you all doing? Hello. Are you there?
Oh, no. Yeah, we're doing good.
Hi, Darius. Hi, Darius. I haven't met you yet. Nice to meet you, bud. I'm loving the conversation. I love the whole, thank you. I love the whole God conversation because I think it's really, really, really important. And, I just kind of see God as being everything, just like Darius said. It's all that is. Everything that exists is within the one, and the one is God. We are all fractals and fragments and, what is the word I was using earlier today? It's like the disco ball. We're reflections, each one unique, but all within the one. But I actually called because I wrote something a while ago, and somebody just brought my attention to it. And as I was listening to your show, I was kind of reading it, and I thought, this is actually pretty relevant. You've only got like 30-some minutes left, so it's a little bit long. So maybe I won't do it now. Maybe I'll bring it in another time, unless you want me to. But I thought it might.
I'd be happy to listen to it, Judy, if you called in to share. Yeah.
That's okay. Are you guys up for it?
Yeah.
All right, let's roll with it because I felt like it might be right. So let's go with it. Okay, so this is something I wrote. Oh my goodness, back probably about a week and a half, 2 weeks ago. And about a week and a half ago, I just started my own blog, and this was the first entry, and it was just kind of came right out. So here it is. Now more than ever, it's time to pay close attention to the thoughts, dreams, and focus you hold about what we all call reality. We are being bombarded with constrictions, fears, and sadness from the outside world in the forms of news stories from all the outlets that show the controllers are letting go of their last vestiges of morality, compassion, and sensibility. The light is getting brighter as many beings awaken each day, and by contrast, and the duality we live in, the dark is refining its work as well. Our world is becoming polarized to such an extent that if we don't awaken, we fall deeper into the abyss of the forgetting of who we are. What to do about it? From my perspective, it is important to spend time outside the matrix, walk in nature, be with those who lift your spirits, and play in the joys of loving community. Withdraw from the diet of fear porn, whether you find it in corporate-owned network news or internet or gossipy people around you. The times we live in call for a great honoring of one's commitment to self-nurturance. There is a time to seek out those who know, who are willing to go deep, love unconditionally, and tell their truths without fear of rejection. These energies are a signature of expansion. It is also the time to spend time in solitude with all that is you. You are not just your body. You are a vast network of beings comprising the fullness of the soul. The you that is in this fullness has many layers that vibrate on different harmonic levels of resonance. Each harmonic is a full being, seemingly separated by dimensional veils through vibratory levels. We are infinite beings, all connected to Prime Creator through the fullness of the one being that we are. We are also connected through the web of creation to each other. In this limited 3-4D realm, the parts of the larger us that lives here acts as a transceiver. We are seemingly limited to the frequencies we perceive. Just as light goes far beyond the spectrum of our bodies, the spectrum our bodies is tuned into, so it is with sound. It is up to us now to expand our frequency range, to receive and to emit the energies from within us. Love is the key to unlock the bars we've placed there to pretend our limitations. So no one can do this work for you. It is essential for you. It is essential for your own soul's expansion that you take charge of your own path. My message today is about becoming very conscious of where you choose to put your focus. While it is easy to be mesmerized by the walls that are falling down in the guise of control systems getting more and more diabolical, by your own life seemingly falling apart, or by those you care about wanting to have company in their own swim within the depths of the choices of their focus, it is of utmost importance now to train your focus on what you do want. While all around you does what it does, now it is time to shift your thoughts to what you want to see in this world. Gandhi was so right on when he said, be the change you wish to see in the world. He tapped into the Akasha, hence the wisdom he resonated within and without. When you find yourself being drawn into the maelstrom of fear, choose to step out as quickly and fully as possible and use the mental and heart energy to get creative. Imagine, without constriction of money or what seems to already be, and from a place of joy and love, how you would prefer your world to be. Your imagination is much more powerful than you've ever been led to understand. Nothing exists except that it was a thought first. You see many amazements in this world, and not a single one has happened without it first being born in the imagination first. Again, it is time to hold your focus on what you want. Be gentle to yourself. Be bold with your imagination. Take time each day to play in the playground of your joyful creations. Now is the time to choose your focus. Play, enjoy, and continue letting go of what you don't want through the energies of forgiveness and compassion and release. For all those who hurt you, used you, or ran roughshod over your dreams throughout your life, say a prayer of Ho'oponopono. I'm sorry, please forgive me, I love you, I thank you. This is an ancient prayer of release and true love. You see, there is nothing that has ever happened to you on some level that you didn't ask for. All seeming assaults to your being have within them a great and powerful gift. It is chosen by you to become an enhancement. Now is the time to let go of the diligent conditioning thoughts placed upon society that we are helpless, weak, powerless, and vulnerable. We are infinite beings who play a game we had a big hand in creating. So as to awakening within our own game more expanded than our souls and the collective one was before the game began, there is nothing outside the one. And when any portion of that one shifts from fear to love, the shift reverberates throughout all infinity. Change cannot happen in this world outside oneself, which is an illusion of the game we created, until it is shifted through the imagination and focus within. Be gentle on yourself and have fun. Sorry, it was really long, but wow.
That's awesome. Yeah, that's awesome. I love that.
That was amazing, Judy.
Yeah, that's really, really cool. Now, how long did it take you to write that?
It literally flowed right out of me. I'm not a writer, and I do channel every now and then, and this was just one of those things that literally I didn't go back and change anything. It just all flowed straight out.
Oh, okay. Yeah, see, usually what I do because... Yeah, go ahead.
Go ahead.
Oh, usually
go ahead.
what I do because I'm not a good writer. Yeah, usually what I do because I'm not a good writer is I'll record myself as I'm channeling, and I'll get in that state, and I'll just start talking and talking and talking. And then I'll get to a point where I basically listen to myself, and I'm like, I never thought I would say something like that. Like, it's just so right on, and that's basically what you just did. The whole channel just flowing right out of you. I think that's where your most powerful words come. Because you're not putting any thought into it. You're just letting it release. You're trusting
You got it. You got it. And I do it like you do, too. I do it through conversation a lot, too. When I'm having, like I'm a transformational thought coach, and when I'm doing transformational sessions or doing my tarot sessions, which are incredibly profound, a lot of the information that comes through me, I kind of look at myself from the sideways, from a side view going, holy crap, that was really good. I'm going to remember this. Not usually that, but.
I really I like the word you used, self-nurturance. I think that really resonated with me because I really felt the masculine, feminine, and the child, those frequencies all in, protecting and nurturing yourself, and kind of I thought of kind of planting a seed and watching it grow and standing over it and looking at it and can't wait to see what comes out of the ground, and kind of I like how you use those playful tones of kind of being your own mother and father and child, and really allowing yourself to play in your creation, but still kind of standing up and having that strength and that courage as well, which you really spoke to beautifully, Judy.
Thank you. No, you understand it very well. That's exactly what I was saying, and it's nobody's going to do it for us. We have to do it for ourselves. We have to love ourselves. We have to treat ourselves. We have to nurture that child within us because, most of us, we're not that well nurtured as children. And it's, now is the time to pull it all together and realize that we are all that is. And within our own seemingly small being that we inhabit within this particular realm, to heal and to expand within it, we must be all to ourselves as well.
Yeah, I totally agree.
Because everything mirrors outside of us. So there's nothing that happens in our lives that doesn't happen within us first. So it has to come from within initially for it to reflect outside and be a part of our reality.
Do you think it starts with taking full responsibility for our lives?
Of course. It starts with love. It really starts with agreeing to love yourself and letting go of the old stories, letting go of, all of the things that we've been told that we're supposed to look outside of ourselves for everything. And then realizing that, until we love ourselves, nobody else is going to be able to love us in a deep way, truly, until we do. And we're not going to be able to really love anybody else in a deep way until we love ourselves that way first. And that doesn't mean, that means we have to, it goes right back to what you just said. It goes right back to self-nurturance.
And you said something key there. You said letting go. And this is what people need to let go, because in the letting go, I told Matthew this before we got on the show. When let's say, for instance, a guy's in war and he sees a missile coming right down on top of him and it's about to hit him. In that 1 second that the missile is going to hit him and destroy everything, and he knows that he's going to die, he lets go. And when he lets go, he understands everything. So what I would say for people is everybody should go bungee jumping so they can let go. So they have fear, so they just let go, and then they could understand, because in that letting go, that's where you write. That's where you wrote your
right.
Basically your poem, what was inside of you. You let go. You just let it flow. And people that don't let go, you'll never see that pure raw feeling. That I don't know how to explain it. It's just you'll never see that same.
Yeah, I think people get caught up in the worry about not having it be perfect or fit everybody else's idea of perfection, and that's where the letting go has to take place, because there is no such thing as perfection. Perfection. And again, really, it's a word that shouldn't even be in the language as far as I'm concerned. But if you're going to play with it, what you would say is that perfection is something that is relative to each person, but not only is it relative to each person and changing with each person, it's relative, or it's changing with each person at each moment, because when you take on some new information, you change, all of a sudden that perfection needs to change as well. There is no such thing. So you've got to, like you said, you have to let go. You have to just be in the moment and not allow for the thoughts of what anybody else might think encroach upon your moment of being fully in the now, which is that key point of accessing the divine within you. And it can be constant.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like what you said there, because for me, all of this self-love, and what we're speaking about, for me it started with being friendly with myself, being friendly with fear, because I don't know about you guys, but I used to come pretty hard on myself, and I put it on myself that I needed to be the rock, I needed to have the answers, I needed to be, we speak a lot about image, and the image or the personality or the label, the thing. I needed to be that thing that was solid, that was going for it, that was, had it all together. And my biggest thing was coming to terms with not having it together and allowing myself to understand that no one has it together, and that
we're not. Which person do you need to satisfy? Because everybody's got a different idea of what having it together means, and you can't be everything to everybody. The only thing you can be is the best you can be to yourself. You got it.
Absolutely.
Right? Was that what you were saying? It sounded like it.
Hello? Sorry, Judy, you're breaking up there.
Oh, sorry. I said, is that what you were saying? I think so many of us have been through that, because again, this is conditioning. This is how we've been conditioned from the outside world, of people who have just been conditioned to think the same way. I mean, poor souls, they don't know differently until, they get to the point where they start letting go of all the expectations of everybody else. I had a tarot reading today with a woman who was in her 70s, and then she got it. She just really gets it. There just isn't any, once you decide you're not going to play the game anymore, that you are really going to commit to your own being, and you realize that everything happens from the inside out, then there's only really one thing to do, and that is to love yourself into the beauty that you decide you want to be.
That's exactly it. And it's understanding that deserving, that nothing was ever lost, and that you're innocent. Your innocence, I think, was a huge one. You know what I mean? Really allowing yourself to forgive yourself, to feel all the feelings. You know what I mean? Just, like, one day I just sat down and I was just like, whatever comes up, I am game. You know what I mean? Like I'm game for this. And I'm you just kind of take control of your life, and it kind of comes in a second, and you're just lit, and you're just empowered. And more and more on the planet are getting more and more empowered, and we're sharing it and spreading it around, and it's so exciting.
Yeah, absolutely. That's so cool. Well, I'm going to let you guys go ahead and get on with your show unless you want to continue to chat with me. Darius, it's wonderful to meet you. Chase, great to talk with you again. And Matthew, you're awesome. All of three of you are, and thank you for doing the show.
Thanks for calling in, Judy.
Take care, guys.
Thank you, Judy.
Yeah, thank you.
Bye.
You're welcome. We'll talk to you.
Yeah.
She's so great. Okay, so 13 minutes left. How about you guys? You guys pick a topic. How do you want to go from that? That was a really great call, and I loved that poem.
Yeah, that was really good. Letting go. Go ahead, Chase.
just like on that self-nurture thing, I'm finally getting that, where nobody's gonna truly nurture me if I'm not. And it even comes down to physical things, like I know that I'm more than my body, but it's one way of focusing is focusing on the body and what the body needs. And it's like I'm finally learning to just eat and eat and eat good food and to fill myself with the abundance that Earth is providing. And then to use that energy and to do some workouts. I've been doing some core routines and lifting watermelons in my ab workouts and going outside and going running, and it's like nobody can really exercise but me. And I always felt so guilty before, like I had to help the world, like because there's like all kinds of spring out, but so I can't have a full meal myself because there's people starving around the world. No, but if I don't feed myself, nobody else is going to follow my example and fill themselves with good food unless I do it first.
Absolutely.
Like everybody has their own opportunities, and I got to use my own, like, to really up that self-nurturance thing and self-love.
Yeah, and also, you can't help everybody in the world because before you came here, you already planned what you're going to experience. You already planned what you want to learn in this lifetime, because Earth is one of the hardest realms to master. It's one of the hardest realms to master. What would be three-dimensional star-state realm. And when people came down, they chose them certain life experiences that they would go to, certain people that they would need to basically tell them or bring them up, and people that would stay with them for this whole life experience. And to love somebody else, you have to love yourself. That's already a given. But you need to understand people in their life are on a certain path. It's no better than you saying, like, when you grow up, when you were a baby, you grew from a baby to 14. Okay? Now, in your growing up, you may hit puberty faster, or you may lost your teeth a certain time, because that was your experience. But your experience is not going to be the same as somebody else growing up and going through puberty and losing their teeth. You could have lost your teeth when you were 10. The other person could have lost their teeth when they're like 8 years old. It's all different experiences, and it's an experience that they chose. So there is no higher or lower, I experience more, I'm greater. And, I experience less, you're lesser than me. That's not it. Everything, they're just experiencing different things. We're all one, because when you die, someone is just reborn. And it's all of us. And you can only experience it one at a time. We can't experience our whole self at the whole time. And it's almost like a yoga. Imagine what it would be like to go to sleep and never wake up. And then when you do that long enough, something will happen. Then imagine what would happen. Imagine when you're doing that, when you're in that thought, imagine that, what was it like to be born after never going to sleep? And that's when you were born into this earth. There is no such thing as death. It's just you die, you're born again. And you could only experience yourself one at a time, because everything is you. And this is tapping into the consciousness, and you become one with everything. That's all I had to say.
That was good. I wanna jump back quick to, you were saying, Chase, about you didn't want to indulge and enjoy the fruit because you could empathize with others in the world who don't have that fruit to indulge in. And the word indulge, so it's hard to, that's another tricky one for me when it comes to language with indulging, because feeling grateful for your abundance, feeling in gratitude, and really enjoying and, holding this space, loving what you've been given, that fruit, is amazing. And even just giving thanks to that just sends out that attractive energy, that energy of abundance, and sends more of that to the earth for others. So when we feel guilty, and we feel, guilty or shameful because we get this and someone else doesn't, it's so great, because putting out the guilt, putting out the thought of lack. The thought of lack is the turning point there, because we've really been conditioned since we were little to think of the world as lack, and I need to survive and get mine, and you need to get yours, and then we switch it from that I have to get mine and you have to get yours to, oh, this person has nothing, so I can't have anything. So it's so drastic and so binary thinking, and we're lucky and thank God that the universe does not work like that, and this is an unconditional, infinite universe of abundance and love, which is so great.
I have two things on that. I remember as a kid, I was in 3rd grade, and I knew a lot of the kids couldn't really read very well. The teacher called on me, and I started to read out loud, and I realized I was reading so well out loud. I felt shameful for being like the best reader. So I toned it down and pretended to stumble over words. I pretended to stutter a little bit. Turns out I was graded on that, and so then I felt extra bad because I pretended to suck at reading, and then I got a bad grade for it. That same thing, like, if you're on the yoga mat and you're just like getting into the pose and you're loving it, you don't look over to the neighbor and see them struggling and then you pretend to struggle. You just indulge in it. And when you said that word indulge, I had to look it up really quick, because nowhere in the definition of indulge does it have guilt or shame or any sort of negative connotation. It says, 1, allow oneself to enjoy the pleasure of. To allow oneself pleasure. Or, it is more neutral, to become involved in. To indulge in something. And then synonyms, the word gratify. Gratitude.
That's what Judy
Oh, that's all I had to add. Just indulge is a completely positive, full of gratitude and just enjoying the pleasure. No shame.
Yeah, and I just kind of thought about really quickly here. Judy was talking about the things that we focus on, we expand, we bring our awareness to that. That's what grows. That's what expands in our consciousness. And it's like, I can indulge in this. So can you. And I can be my very best, and I can shine as bright as I can. And that still will never dim your light, because you are the same light that I am. And that's so beautiful when we can come to the understanding that just because one of us is feeling so loving, so bursting with life, vitality, abundance, all of these words speak to expansion and unity. And when one of us does that, we can be at our best, but me being at my best doesn't mean you can be at your best, and doesn't mean we can't collaborate and I can't help you be your best while helping me be my best. It's not about like I get to do it and you don't get to do it. And that's so important to come to the understanding that, we don't, just because I'm feeling great, I mean I'm taking away anything from you.
Mm.
Yeah, and Chase, that to yours and what your experience in school, because when I used to see, when I was in like preschool, I used to see like people like kids, like they would be upset, and I would see them upset, and I would go up to them, and I would feel like I have to be upset with them, even though I was perfectly happy. It was almost like I felt guilty of being happy, and everybody else would be miserable around me. And I did that for the longest time until I started to realize that, I shouldn't have to feel the same way they do. Eventually, they will experience what they need to experience in life, and they'll grow from it. But somebody else doesn't mean that I have to be that way too. I'm happy. I don't need to go down to that state of being. And I could relate what you just said before. I just want to add on to that.
That's huge. Yeah. That's huge, Darius, what you just pointed out.
Yeah, Darius, in my life, that actually came from when my parents got mad. As a kid, my parents would get mad over something and would blame me. So I felt this responsibility for other people's emotions. When really, when people are self-responsible, they take responsibility for their own state of being. Nobody's blaming each other. But as a child, I was trained into that, and then I started to think that everyone's emotions, especially the bad ones, were my fault.
I think it definitely starts out with parents, because when we live, dysfunctional is a strong word, but I think most families are dysfunctional in the sense that there's not a clear set of boundaries of, mom knows her energy, dad is, comfortable in taking responsibility for him, and then they can raise the children to also anchor themselves in their own experience. So I think what you were saying, Darius, about, you don't have to worry and you don't have to be upset and sad because someone else is. That's really taking the courage right there to hold the space for not only yourself and them. I think that's really brave. That's a huge, great point that we could probably speak a whole show about.
Yeah, I definitely think so, because when I was young, my parents got a divorce, and I was in the middle because I put myself there because I felt their pain, and I thought that I would have to feel that way too. I thought that me being happy would be doing something bad because everybody else is going through such a terrible time. The whole family is breaking apart, and here I am all happy, and smiling. I realized that you don't have to, just because everybody else is miserable, you don't have to stoop to the level. You just be who you are.
All right. That's our show for tonight. Thank you all so much for tuning in, and we will be back next Friday. Have a great week.